I found a camera hidden in my smoke detector, pointed directly at my bedroom, and the person who put it there was the last person on earth I thought would betray me. My name is Miriam Caldwell. I'm 62 years old, a widow, and for 30 years I recorded courtroom testimony for a living. I know how evidence works, I know how lies unravel. And when I found that camera, I didn't rip it out, I didn't confront anyone. I did what I was trained to do, I documented everything. You're watching Revenge Chapters, where the underestimated strike back with precision. And justice isn't just served, it's documented. By the end of the story, you'll see how a mother's love became a weapon, how surveillance meant for my destruction became evidence for my defense, and how the daughter who tried to steal my life ended up losing everything she thought she'd won. If you're here for calculated justice and real consequences, hit subscribe, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know how far this truth travels. Before I tell you what I found on those recordings, let me take you back to the Saturday morning that changed everything. The battery check was Gerald's ritual, not mine. Every 6 months, like clockwork, spring and fall, he'd pull down the smoke detectors, swap the batteries, test the alarms. He'd been gone 5 years now, but I kept the routine. It felt like keeping him alive in some small way. That Saturday in October, I stood on the stepladder in the upstairs hallway, unscrewing the detector cover. The weight was wrong, too heavy. I pulled it down and looked inside. Nestled beside the battery compartment was a tiny black cylinder with a lens. A camera, pointed through a drilled hole in the plastic housing, aimed directly at my bedroom door. I didn't scream, I didn't panic. 30 years as a court stenographer teaches you to stay calm when the world tilts sideways. I climbed down carefully, sat on the edge of my bed, and stared at that detector in my hands. Professional equipment, expensive. Wireless, someone had been watching me sleep, watching me dress, watching me live my private life. My chest felt tight, but my mind was already clicking through possibilities. Who had access? Who had opportunity? The answer made my stomach turn, but I couldn't ignore it. My daughter, Vanessa. She'd been coming every Sunday for 4 months. Ever since she moved back to Pittsburgh from Denver. She said she worried about me living alone at my age. Said she wanted to help around the house. Vanessa had been in every room multiple times. Alone, upstairs, downstairs, basement, attic. She'd offered to organize my closets, sort through Gerald's old files, help me declutter. I'd thought it was kindness. Now, sitting there with that camera in my hands, I wondered what else she'd been doing while I made us tea. I made myself think like a stenographer. Objective, factual, what did I know? Vanessa had asked about my memory 3 weeks ago. Asked if I ever forgot things. Got confused about dates. I'd laughed it off, told her I was 62. Not 92, but she'd persisted. Asked if I'd considered seeing a doctor. Asked if I'd updated my will recently. Asked what would happen to the house if something happened to me. The house, our home in Lawrenceville, bought for $90,000 in 1988. Now worth $890,000 after the neighborhood gentrified. Then there was Gerald's life insurance, $340,000. Paid out 5 years ago. I'd invested most of it, lived modestly off my pension. Vanessa knew about that money. She'd asked about it last month, casually, over coffee, asked if I'd thought about doing something fun with it, travel maybe, or helping her and Craig with a down payment on a bigger house. Craig, her husband, quiet, calculating Craig who worked in IT security, who would know exactly where to buy a camera like this, who would know how to install it without leaving obvious traces. I put the smoke detector back exactly where it had been. Camera and all, let them watch. Let them think I hadn't noticed. I was a stenographer for 3 decades. I knew how to sit perfectly still and record everything without showing a flicker of emotion. That's exactly what I would do now. I walked downstairs, made myself lunch, ate it at the kitchen table like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. My daughter was spying on me. The question was why, and I intended to find out. That afternoon, I went through every room with fresh eyes. I didn't touch anything, didn't move anything. Just looked in the living room. The smoke detector seemed slightly crooked. In my office, the one over my desk where I kept financial files. In the kitchen, the clock on the wall digital. Modern, something Vanessa had given me last Christmas. I stood on a chair and examined it closely. There, behind the display panel, another tiny lens, 4 cameras, 4 rooms, my entire life under surveillance. I stepped down and walked to the window. staring out at the October leaves falling in the yard Gerald used to rake. The next morning, Vanessa called. Her voice had that bright, false cheerfulness she'd been using lately. "Hi, Mom, how are you feeling today?" Feeling, not how are you feeling? Like I was fragile, unreliable. "I'm fine, sweetheart," I said, keeping my voice warm, "just doing some cleaning." "That's good. Listen," I was thinking, maybe I should come by today instead of waiting until Sunday. I could help you sort through some of Dad's old things in the basement. You've been saying you want to do that. I'd never said that, never once. That's sweet, but I'm actually pretty tired. Let's stick with Sunday. There was a pause, just half a second, but I heard it, disappointment. Maybe frustration. "Okay, Mom. Sunday then, but if you need anything before then, just call, promise me." "I promise." I hung up and sat down at my computer. I couldn't use my home network. If Craig had installed those cameras, he might have access to my devices too. I'd seen enough cybercrime cases in court to know how these things worked. Instead, I drove to the public library downtown, used their computer, logged into my bank account for the first time in months. I usually relied on paper statements, but something Vanessa said last week had bothered me. She'd asked if I'd checked my accounts lately. The balance was wrong, significantly wrong. My savings account should have had $218,000. I was looking at $173,000. $45,000 had vanished over the past 6 months. I clicked through the transaction history, my hands shaking now despite my training. Wire transfer to Caldwell Family Trust. Wire transfer to Caldwell Family Trust. Wire transfer to Caldwell Family Trust. Same company, $7,000 here. $8,000 there, $12,000. I'd never heard of Caldwell Family Trust. I'd certainly never authorized any transfers. I searched the name, nothing. No website, no registration with Pennsylvania's business database. A ghost company. I closed the browser and sat there in the library, surrounded by people reading newspapers and students doing homework. My daughter was stealing from me. My daughter had installed cameras to watch me, and now she was draining my accounts. But why the surveillance? If she already had access to my banking information, probably from the passwords I kept written in my desk drawer. Because Gerald always told me to write everything down, why did she need cameras? Unless she was building a case. Evidence that I was declining, confused, incompetent, unable to manage my own affairs. That's when I understood she wasn't just stealing. She was preparing for something bigger. I drove to the courthouse where I'd worked for 30 years. Judge Patricia Reeves was still on the bench, presiding over family court now. We'd been friends since the 90s. She was in chambers when I knocked. "Miriam," she stood, hugged me. "I haven't seen you in months. How are you?" "I need advice." "Patricia, legal advice." Her smile faded. "Sit down." I told her everything. The cameras, the missing money, Vanessa's questions about my memory and my will. When I finished, Patricia's face was grim. "She's building a guardianship case." "That's my professional opinion. The cameras will be used to document supposed incompetence. The financial transfers establish a pattern of mismanagement, or that's how her lawyer will frame it." Can she do that? Can she actually have me declared incompetent? If she gets a doctor to sign off? If she presents compelling evidence? If you don't have a lawyer to fight it, yes. I've seen it happen. Adult children convince a court that their elderly parent can't manage their affairs. They get guardianship, then they have legal control over everything. The house, the money, medical decisions. Everything. I felt cold. How do I stop it? Patricia leaned forward. "You document everything. You get a lawyer, you file a police report for the theft. And Miriam, you need to act before she does. If she files first and gets temporary guardianship, you'll be fighting uphill." She gave me the name of an attorney who specialized in elder financial abuse. Thomas Brennan. I called him from the courthouse steps. We met that afternoon at a coffee shop in Shadyside, far enough from Lawrenceville that no one would recognize me. Thomas was in his 50s, sharp-eyed. "Direct, before we go further, I need to ask, is your memory actually declining? Any diagnosis I should know about?" "No, I'm healthy. My doctor can confirm that. I remember everything, dates, conversations. Numbers, that's what stenographers do." He nodded. "Good, because if she's fabricating incompetence, we can prove it, but we need to move carefully. If you confront her directly, she might accelerate whatever she's planning." "What do you suggest?" "First, we secure your assets. I'll help you open new accounts she doesn't have access to. we transfer the remaining money today. Second, we get those cameras documented professionally. I know a private investigator who can photograph them, trace their signals, identify the equipment. Third, we get a full medical evaluation from a neutral doctor, cognitive testing. The works, that becomes evidence that you're perfectly competent. Fourth, we file a police report for financial exploitation. The bank records are enough to start an investigation. I listened, feeling something shift inside me. For the first time since finding that camera, I wasn't afraid, I was angry. And anger, I was learning, could be useful when channeled correctly. Over the next 2 weeks, I played the confused, elderly mother Vanessa wanted to see. I asked her the same question twice, forgot what day it was, left my reading glasses in strange places. She ate it up. "Mom, this is exactly what I've been worried about," she said one Sunday, her face arranged in concern. "Have you thought about seeing Dr. Patterson? Just for a checkup?" Dr. Patterson was her doctor. "Not mine, maybe you're right," I said slowly. "I have been feeling foggy lately." Her eyes lit up, actual excitement. Quickly hidden, "I'll make the appointment. Don't worry about a thing." That night, Thomas's investigator photographed every camera. 4 devices, all transmitting to the same IP address, traced to Craig's home office. The bank records told their own story. The Caldwell Family Trust had been registered in Delaware 4 months ago. The listed director was Vanessa Lynn Hartley, her maiden name. The money transferred from my account had gone to that trust, then to a personal account, then toward the down payment on a house in Sewickley. $520,000. They were buying a mansion with my money, while installing cameras to prove I was too incompetent to notice. Thomas filed the police report. White Collar Crimes Division. Detective Sarah Chen took the case. She was younger than I expected, late 30s, but her eyes were hard when she reviewed the evidence. "This is textbook elder financial abuse," she said, "and the surveillance elevates it to potential stalking charges. Can you arrest them? We need to build the case first." But yes, eventually. The problem is proving intent. Her lawyer will argue she was managing the money on your behalf, that you'd consented to the transfers, that the cameras were for your safety, to make sure you didn't fall or have a medical emergency. "I never consented to anything." "I believe you, Mrs. Caldwell, but we need ironclad proof. The best thing you can do is keep acting normal. Let her think she's winning." So I did the following Sunday. Vanessa brought paperwork. "Mom, I've been thinking, with everything going on, your memory issues, the confusion, maybe it would help if I had power of attorney. Just temporary, just so I can help manage things if you need me to." The papers sat on my kitchen table. Official looking, legal. I picked them up with shaking hands, not fear this time, but fury, carefully disguised as uncertainty. "I don't know, honey, this seems like a big step." "It's really not, lots of families do this. It just means I can help you pay bills, handle the banking, make sure nothing falls through the cracks. You trust me, don't you?" I looked at my daughter. Her face was open, caring, concerned. A perfect mask. Behind it was someone who'd installed cameras in my home, stolen $45,000, and was now asking me to sign away my autonomy. "Let me think about it," I said. "Just for a few days." Her jaw tightened. "Mom, I really think we should do this now, before something happens." "Nothing's going to happen, Vanessa." She left 20 minutes later. Frustrated, I watched her car disappear down the street. Then called Thomas. "She tried to get power of attorney today. Did you sign?" "No." "Good, we're ready to move. Detective Chen has enough for charges. The DA's office has reviewed everything, the bank records, the camera evidence, the attempted coercion. They're issuing arrest warrants tomorrow morning. Both Vanessa and Craig." I sat down heavily. This was real. My daughter was going to be arrested. For stealing from me, for trying to destroy my life. "Miriam," Thomas said gently, "are you sure you want to go through with this? Once this happens, there's no going back. Your relationship with her will be over." I thought about Gerald, about the home we'd built together, about the life I'd lived with integrity, recording truth in courtrooms for 30 years. "I'm sure," I said, "do it." They arrested Vanessa and Craig on a Tuesday morning. I wasn't there. Thomas thought it was better that way. But Detective Chen called me afterward. Vanessa had cried, claimed misunderstanding, said she was only trying to help. Craig stayed silent. The evidence was overwhelming. 4 cameras, $45,000 in unauthorized transfers, forged trust documents. They both faced felony charges for financial exploitation of an elderly person and unlawful surveillance. The trial took 7 months, I testified. Read my documentation into the record, dates, amounts, conversations, all of it. Dr. Patterson, ironically, testified that he'd never treated me, never diagnosed any cognitive decline. My actual doctor testified that I was sharp as ever. The jury convicted them both. Vanessa got 18 months in minimum security. Craig got 2 years. They lost the Sewickley house, lost their jobs, their 7-year-old twins. Leo and Miles went to live with Craig's parents. I think about those boys sometimes. My grandsons, I haven't seen them since before the arrest. Maybe someday, when they're older, I'll try to explain. I don't regret what I did. When someone tries to steal your life, you don't owe them mercy, you owe yourself justice. I'm 62 years old. I live alone in the house Gerald and I built our life in. The cameras are gone, the accounts are secure. And every morning, I wake up knowing that I protected myself the only way that mattered. With evidence, patience, and the truth. Elder financial abuse affects 1 in 10 Americans over 60, with family members accounting for 90% of abusers. If you suspect financial exploitation, contact the National Center on Elder Abuse, 1-855-500-3537. Documentation saves lives. Before you leave, I need to ask you something. What part hit you hardest? The moment she realized the betrayal, the evidence she quietly gathered, or the revenge itself when everything came crashing down? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. And if there's a story you want next, hidden affairs, financial betrayal, family secrets, or cold revenge, tell me below. Your idea could become the next chapter. If this story kept you watching, hit that like button. If you want more stories where quiet people get loud justice, subscribe and turn on notifications. I bring you a new revenge story every single day. And right now, 2 of the most powerful chapters will appear on your screen. Pick one, the revenge in both, unforgettable. Thanks for trusting me with your time. See you in the next chapter.